How's it going, guys? Separcogitaire here. So I just wanted to make a quick video on this guy. This guy, Ask Yourself. That's his YouTube name. His video response to one of the YouTube creator No Bullshit's video responses to one of his videos. So this is like we're going into the inception of responses here. It's pretty crazy, I know. But this guy, Ask Yourself, makes a whole bunch of ridiculous claims that I think is just totally stupid. So we're gonna go through it here. Basically, this Ask Yourself guy is a vegan, and No Bullshit is trying to explain how I guess eating meat is morally okay, but this Ask Yourself guy thinks that it's not morally okay, and we're gonna see here the reasons why he thinks it's not morally okay. So let's check out just a little snippet of the video real quick.
Okay, traits animals don't have. Cognitive thought. No, not him. Like real cognitive thought.
Okay, so if a human lacked cognitive thought, would that justify deeming them valueless and stabbing them to death needlessly? I'm assuming you'll say no, so you can't deploy lack of cognitive thought as justification for deeming animals valueless and stabbing them to death needlessly without creating a double standard. Next.
Language.
Okay, so if a human lacked language, would that justify deeming them valueless and stabbing them to death needlessly? I'm assuming you'll say no, so you can't deploy lack of language to justify deeming animals valueless and stabbing them to death needlessly without creating a double standard. Next.
Culture.
Okay, so if a human lacked culture, would that justify deeming them valueless and stabbing them to death needlessly? I'm assuming you'll say no, so you can't appeal to lack of culture to justify deeming animals valueless and stabbing them to death needlessly without creating a double standard.
All right, so I think you get the point. Basically, No Bullshit is offering a bunch of reasonable points as to why killing animals for food is not morally wrong. Some of them being that animals lack cognitive thought, they lack language, they lack any sort of culture, things along those lines. And this what's his name again? Always Think, or whatever the fuck his name is. I don't know. He's saying that that basically if there was a single particular human that lacked any of these things, that we would think it was morally wrong to kill him. So why is it morally okay to kill an animal when we wouldn't do it to a human that doesn't have these things? But it, like, I get what he's saying, but it doesn't apply here. Even though that one particular human doesn't necessarily possess the ability to think cognitively or talk, or doesn't have culture, that doesn't mean that he's not still a part of the human race. I mean, he's still part of our species. It still doesn't make any sense to kill him off. It'd still be morally wrong to kill a different person within our own species. Plus, just because he doesn't necessarily show any of those any signs of those things, doesn't mean that he couldn't. Like, other humans clearly can. This particular human was just born with some defect. Maybe he was got into a terrible accident, and now he's doesn't have the capability to think cognitively anymore. I mean, just because he can't in the moment doesn't mean that the potential for him to be able to do it wasn't ever there. But with animals, I mean, I think it's pretty apparent that no animal on the planet has the level of cognitive thought that humans have. No animal on the planet has the level of culture that we have. No animal on the planet has the level of language as we have. I mean, they have very rudimentary abilities and all these things, but nowhere near the level of us. So it's not the same thing. Like, it's just not the same thing. Killing a human, even though he doesn't have those things, isn't the same as killing an animal, because A, that human is still part of our species, and B, just because he doesn't have it right now doesn't mean the potential for it wasn't ever there. I mean, clearly humans have the potential for all these things. This just one single individual was just born with an unfortunate circumstance and can't do any of those things. But the animals, they weren't born with any unfortunate circumstance. That's just the way the animal is. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. You can't apply any of those moral objectiveness that we would apply to a human onto an animal. Plus, I mean, society itself deems killing animals for food morally okay. So, I mean, that's what makes it morally okay. It doesn't matter. It doesn't necessarily matter if killing anything in general is morally wrong. We derive our morality from our society, and in the society we live in, it's not morally wrong to kill an animal. Maybe that'll change someday, but I highly doubt it ever will. Some major things would have to change for that to become a morally or an immoral thing to do. But as it stands right now in our society, the killing of animals on a mass scale for the consumption of our just our basic food needs is not an immoral thing to do, and it's just the way it is, bro. I mean, I get it. You're vegan, and that's cool. You can do what you want, man. I'm not gonna knock you. If you want to eat plants all day, that's fine with me. But just don't bitch at me for eating meat because you think it's it's immoral. The vast majority of the human race would disagree with you, and I mean, that's just the way it is, bro. That's how morality works. It's a fickle thing. The majority rules in morality. There's no moral objective truth. As much as you think that there's no such thing as a morally objective truth. Everything is completely subjective to whatever society you live in, and that's just the way it is. You're gonna have to deal with it. I mean, maybe someday you'll get all your vegan buddies, and you'll get to convert more and more people to veganism, and eventually the killing of animals will be considered immoral. And if that ever happens, then cool, it'll be considered immoral at that point. But as it stands right now, it's not immoral. It's not an immoral thing to do. So I don't see where the argument is. Your whole double standard thing here, it doesn't work at all. It literally doesn't make any sense. Because you can't apply something to a human to an animal. I mean, they're two totally different things. We wouldn't kill members of our own species because they're members of our own species. An animal isn't a member of our own fucking species, so why the hell would we care about them? I mean, it doesn't make... I mean, obviously we care about them, but not to the same extent that we care about a human, or at least most people anyway. I mean, there's some people out there who care about animals more than people, but the vast majority of people, I think, care more about their fellow man than an animal. If you saw a goat hanging off the side of a cliff and a human hanging off the side of a cliff a foot to the right of it, I would imagine probably 9 out of 10 people would save the human before they save the animal, but that's just me. It'd probably be even more. It'd probably be like 99 out of 100 people would save the human before the goat, but that's just my thought. And then later on he says this.
If you're saying that species is a justification for mistreating other creatures, then you have no argument against aliens mistreating humans. This is a basic hypothetical designed to expose the hypocrisy of the anti-vegan position. Anyone who makes a comment like, oh, aliens don't exist, or aliens are absurd, they are just revealing that they are completely philosophically illiterate.
So there he's saying if an alien species came to Earth, we would have no quarrel with them killing us because we have no issues with killing animals. I mean, from a moral standpoint, I guess technically no, I wouldn't have an objection to them killing us because, I mean, they're just killing us because they're aliens. I don't know what their moral objective code is. Obviously, I wouldn't want them to kill me because I don't want to die, but I wouldn't think it'd be immoral for them to kill me. I mean, they're aliens with a totally different set of moral codes than me. I mean, I'm not going to be able to stop them from doing it if that's what they're dead set on doing. I mean, this is just a stupid argument. It's the most absurd thing I've ever heard. Yeah, no, I wouldn't. I mean, obviously I would hate the aliens and I would want them to not kill me. and the rest of my fellow human beings, but I wouldn't consider them immoral for killing me. That wouldn't be what my thought process was. Because again, they're a totally different culture with a completely different set of moral beliefs. I mean, I have no idea what their moral beliefs would be. So I mean, it might be moral to them. Just because it's not moral to me for them to kill me doesn't mean it's not moral for them to kill me. I mean, you can't. What I'm trying to explain here again is that you can't apply your set of moralities onto something else. It just doesn't work. That's not how morality works. It's based off your society. It's not, there's no objective moral truth. It is completely and utterly dependent on the society you live in. And in the society we live in, it is not immoral to kill and eat an animal. That's just the way it is, and you're going to have to deal with it, Mr. Vegan here. He's a very angry man, too. If you watch this video, he gets very, very, very flustered, and I think it's very hilarious. I love it when people get mad. I think it's funny. But I just think this vegan guy is reaching for straws here. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And then earlier in the video, he was talking about plants. They're okay to eat because they're not sentient enough to have any sort of cognitive thought. And he says that you can download all of their cognitive thought onto a computer program or something along those lines. It's like, well, okay, so that's where you draw the line then? Like, since the plant, all it can do is sit there and, basically just sit there and bask in the sun and not really think about anything or move around, that's not sentient enough for you to consider it immoral to eat, but it can still do everything else that a normal, like, living life form can do, like eat. I mean, it feeds off nutrients in the ground from the sun's rays. It can still produce offspring. I mean, I don't know if it has any feelings or not. It might feel things. Certain plants can deploy defensive measures against being attacked. So clearly, these plants don't want to be destroyed. So they have enough cognitive thought to defend themselves against being damaged or harmed. But again, apparently plants is where you draw the line. That a plant life isn't sentient enough, but yet a pig is too sentient to eat. It just doesn't make any sense. How can you talk about all this double standard bullshit and apply the moralities of humans onto animals, but yet you say you can't apply the morality on the animals onto plant life? It doesn't make any sense to me. If you're gonna draw the line at plants, then if you're going to say that humans can't have a double standard because they won't kill a fellow human but they will kill an animal, then why don't you just continue the double standard onto the plants? Like, where do you draw the line when you impose a double standard like that? It doesn't make any sense. Apparently you draw the line at plants, but at the same time they still possess some sort of sentience. They still have a life. They still do things. I mean, they are living organisms, as I just described. So apparently you draw the line there, but it doesn't make any sense to me. If your whole argument is based off of double standards, then why would you stop the double standard at the plant life and not continue it on? It doesn't make any sense to me. So here's a quick question then. If you think plants aren't sentient enough to eat, let's say we got cloning technology up to a much higher I don't know how to explain it, much higher degree. We're able to clone things with great ease. We can create life out from certain things. What if we created like a pig that had zero cognitive thought? It didn't feel anything. It couldn't grow at all. It couldn't produce offspring. All it could do was stand there, and that's it. It couldn't eat, couldn't do anything. All we did was we cloned it. It stands there. It does nothing. And then we kill it and eat it. Would that be immoral, or is it still immoral to eat that pig, even though it has the exact same sentience as a plant has? Like, where I'm just trying to figure out where you draw the line here. It doesn't make any sense to me. Just trying to figure out where this guy draws the line at sentience. When does something become not sentient enough to eat? But again, you don't. I'm gonna say this again. There is no moral objective truth. We completely and utterly derive our moral compass from the society we live in, and in our society, we do not consider the killing and eating of pigs to be immoral. So that's just the way it is, Mr. Ask Yourself or Think for Yourself or Vegan Man, whatever the fuck your name is. I don't know. That's just how it is, my man. Again, if you want to eat plants and only plants, hey man, you do you. I'm not gonna knock you for it. I don't give a shit what you do. But at the same time, just don't try to impose your set of beliefs onto me, because that's not what I think, and that's not what the vast majority of the people on the planet think. And I know you're going to say you're going to have. I know what your counter argument is going to be, but if he ever makes a counter argument to this, then I know exactly what it's going to be, and I'll address it when that time comes. But I highly doubt he'll ever be able to see this video, so I'm not really too worried about it. And then I find it kind of funny. He's trying to white knight for animals and stuff, but he's he uses the word retard a lot. I mean, I just think it's funny that he's trying to white knight for animals and saying how the abuse of animals is super cruel, but yet he's saying a very cruel word that would be very offensive and hurtful to a lot of people out there in the world. I just think it's kind of funny that he would do that. He tries to make himself out to be this white knight kind of guy, but at the same time, he is completely and utterly disrespectful to a large portion, or I guess it's not a large portion, a minority portion of people in the world. I just think it's funny. But anyway, he at the end of the video also said that he'd be fine with debating people. I mean, I don't know if I'd ever want to debate him on like over Skype or something like that, because he's a very angry person. I just don't think anything would ever get across to him. I can already tell his debate style is he just yell over the other person. Which, I mean, if you want to get into a shouting match, then I'd rather just talk to you in the streets, bro. I mean, just how it is. I'm not gonna sit here and fucking yell at my computer and wake up my neighbors. But I wouldn't mind debating him if he can show that he can be civil. But I have not seen that from any of the videos that I've watched of him. I've watched like 5 of his videos, and he like screams in all of them. So I can already tell what his debate style is. It's just talk over the other person and think that he won. But anyway, those are just my thoughts on it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you want to leave a like, comment, subscribe, greatly appreciate that. Yeah, hope to see you guys in the next one. And remember, people, morality is not objective. There's no objective moral truth in this world. It is completely dependent on your society. Just remember that. All right, I'll see you guys next time.